Hey everyone, so we're going to be tackling a topic which is just peak economic illiteracy, as in if we're discussing economics and you unironically mention this as a rebuttal to my arguments, I'm probably going to mute you because your opinions are automatically going to be regarded as invalid. This being the argument from trickle-down economics. Now, first things first, trickle-down economics does not exist. Not just that it doesn't work in theory, but as in no economist has ever argued for its existence, and has solely been used as a straw man argument against any position which advocates for freeing the markets or privatization. It particularly sees use in arguments against supply-side economics, even though it's basically used interchangeably for any position which advocates for getting rid of government programs, which economic illiterates, of course, don't see the distinction between the various forms of privatization. Supply-side economists argue that macroeconomic growth can be most effectively created by lowering taxes and decreasing regulation, which, for the most part, is correct, though supply-side economists often argue for synthetically low interest rates or stimulus packages, which of course harm the economy because they create monopolization, since they take away any incentive for businesses to compete in the market, and by extension they increase the price of commodities and lower the quality of service provided by these companies. So I'm not a big fan of either supply-side or demand-side personally. My position would be best described as get the government the fuck out of the market side economics. Funnily enough, the term trickle-down economics was first used by Will Rogers as an argument for Keynesian economic programs being implemented by FDR, and his position was that government programs would make money trickle down from the top to the bottom. So, interesting how people lobbing this straw man argument towards their political dissenters less than 100 years ago were unironically using this same idea to argue for their ideas regarding government spending and increasing regulations. Which, of course, the minimal amount of research being required to debunk this straw man, I'm sure, has nothing to do with the lie being repeated over and over again by politicians and institutionalized in our textbooks. Because, you know, when something definitely exists and totally isn't just a straw man argument, you need to beat it into the brains of small impressionable children. So, I could have just stopped the video here because I've basically made my point already, but I figured that we could have some fun laughing at some trickle-down stupidity together, so let's do that, shall we?
The supply-side myth debunked in 2 minutes.
Yes, because I could totally take someone seriously who thinks that they can debunk an entire economic theory in 2 minutes. Holy fuck, man. I spent more time than that just refuting the notion of trickle-down economics as an argument, and that doesn't even exist.
Supply-side, or trickle-down economics, as you may have heard it called.
As you may have heard it called. Well, certainly not by the people arguing for it, though I'm not an advocate for supply-side economics, so go ask someone like Steven Crowder or Paul Joseph Watson for an actual argument for it. But you may be asking, well, why did I choose this video to respond to? You're about to see why.
Doesn't deliver. Love 'em, hate 'em, tolerate 'em. Regardless of personal feelings, taxes make the world go round.
Yep, because even though the government produces nothing, and there is literally a private alternative right now for every service it supposedly provides, taxation is the only thing which keeps society running. The government literally cannot exist without coercing the private sector, and yet we need it. Yeah, okay. Might not want to put all your chips on that one because that's not a very good line of reasoning.
And the U.S. economy go round.
Except that's not true and all available data proves otherwise. On this graph, red bars representing recession years and the blue line representing the income tax rate, there is no apparent correlation between economic prosperity and the tax rate. So it's apparent that you're just doing what most people from your economic position do. Throw a bunch of mindless bullshit at the wall and hope that something sticks. But the main reason that I'm responding to this point is because not all people who oppose high tax rates and government regulation are people who support supply-side economics. Supply-side economics is still in support of various forms of regulation and taxation, and the negative effects that state monopolization has on the economy, therefore, still in effect. These morons, the people who make this video, just think that all people who oppose their Keynesian Marxist nightmare economics all support the same things, and their policies would result in the same outcome. A laissez-faire stateless market, on the other hand, would have none of the inflation or monopolization caused by regulations or taxation, because those things both increase the price of production and therefore artificially limit the amount of people able to compete in that industry. Without regulation and taxation, this wouldn't exist, so you would have maximum competition and therefore maximum market innovation.
But there's a camp of lawmakers who minimize the importance of government and the role of taxes in effective governance. These lawmakers, backed by wealthy special interests,
outright lie. Most big corporations, as shown in my response to Bernie Sanders on his video regarding the government shutdown, support progressive policies and lobby almost exclusively for increased market regulation. Link will be located in the description. Though this is just self-evidently incorrect and can be debunked with basic observation, because if it was true that corporations lobbied and benefited from deregulation and lowering tax rates, the Libertarian Party would have more prominence in mainstream politics, as well as intellectuals who advocated for it, such as Mises or Hazlitt.
insist that supply-side economics, a la tax cuts, especially for the rich, are the golden ticket to broad prosperity.
Well, you can't even explain what they advocate for without strawmanning the hell out of them. Why would I expect you to represent their arguments properly?
This erroneous ideological policy theory is rooted in the unproven assumption that lowering taxes for the rich causes them to work harder and invest more, thereby creating jobs and boosting the economy.
What? That's not even close to being the argument. Taxes are a direct detriment to the economy. Lower tax rates equal more money that individuals have to spend on things that they want. Because the government has no incentive, since they've guaranteed themselves an income through coercing the private sector, they have virtually no marginal utility with their deficit, which is the reason why they can lose $6.5 trillion and have no clue where it's gone to. Could you imagine just losing $6.5 trillion and having no explanation as to where it went, yet the government does it? And you want to know the crazy part? It's not even the first time it's happened. In 2000, an audit of the Pentagon showed that $2.3 trillion had been lost with no account for where it went. But let's just say hypothetically that governments aren't the most incompetent organizations with finances on this or any other planet. At the very best, all governments could do is spend as efficiently as the people who produced the money to begin with. So governments, even in an unrealistically good scenario, one which is literally not possible to obtain due to economic reality, have no purpose to exist. And that's not even taking into account all of the previously mentioned negative effects on the market inherent in government monopolization.
Supply-siders even claim that cutting taxes for the rich will allow governments to collect more tax revenue.
Tax rates at both 0% and 100% both produce revenues of zero, because with a 0% tax rate, no taxes are being collected, and at a 100% tax rate, no one is producing because no one is benefiting from their work, so everyone would just trade in the counter market. It's known as the Laffer curve, and it's been objectively demonstrated to be true.
Turns out that giving tax cuts to people who are already wealthy just makes the rich richer.
Yeah, well, no shit, because the upper income brackets contribute the most to taxes since more of their money is taken. You may as well have just said, cows go moo. But what you're not explaining is how this is a bad thing for the economy. Also, I suppose you're just going to ignore how countries which rank higher on the Economic Freedom Index also have less income inequality. Not that it matters, since income inequality is meaningless, as there's no proof of any negative or positive effects on the economy as a result of its existence.
Not to mention contributing to growing income inequality. Take, for example, President George W. Bush's tax cuts.
You mean the so-called tax cuts which actually increased taxation? So, in conclusion, trickle-down economics doesn't exist, people who think it does are fucking morons, and not every idea which supports getting the government out of the market is supply-side, which is really just a testament to how stupid these motherfuckers really are. Alright, well that's it for this video. If you liked it, please comment, rate, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.